Welcome to Backstage with Becca with special guest, Ayanna Nicole Thomas. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca. On this episode, this Bronx, New York native made her Broadway debut in How to Dance in Ohio, where she was a swing for 5 roles. And she currently plays Hermione and Ron's daughter, Rose Granger-Weasley, in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway. Please welcome Ayanna Nicole Thomas. So, how are you? I'm so excited to talk with you today.
I'm excited too. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I also, side note, realized while I was on your website last night that you were in How to Dance in Ohio.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I'm on the autism spectrum. So,
Twin.
I went and saw that show. Do you know Johnny?
Johnny.
Johnny Pearl?
Oh, I probably do in passing, and I'm just not remembering the name. I'm bad with names.
No. It's completely okay. He worked as one of the producers on the show.
Okay, we definitely have met then.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does TikTok piano stuff.
Oh, okay.
But he's I live in LA and he's one of my good friends, and he told me to go see How to Dance in Ohio when I was in New York.
Oh, you live in LA? I used to live in LA.
I saw that too.
For so long, I lived in LA. Where do you live?
I live in Burbank currently.
Burbank. Wow, okay.
Yeah, not where any of the fires have been, luckily.
Thankfully, yeah. It's
Fine.
It's been crazy. And the fact that it's been happening like every few years as well. And it's getting worse.
Yeah, it's breaking my heart to see
So
all the damage, and I mean, luckily I'm not around it, but I definitely am trying to go and volunteer later this week.
yeah, that I'm sure anything helps.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been getting Pasadena Humane Society ads, and those are yeah,
Yeah.
definitely gonna try to do something there. But okay, so I want to get into the theater conversation. Happy
Yes.
conversations. So how has your year been? First of all, you got to start off your year with Cursed Child, and the end of the year I assume was filled with rehearsals for it. So it's been busy for you.
It has been, I mean, the year is basically just 3 weeks by now, but
Yeah.
it has been a crazy year. It's been a a good year in the sense of routine, I'd say, and having the routine of the job and having a really good one at that. It's been great. And yeah, definitely the end of where are we? 2024. The end of 2024 was, jam-packed with rehearsals. We started rehearsals in September and our cast opened in November. So basically the end of 2024 was Harry Potter. Which was so different from my beginning of 2024. I was in a completely different show on Broadway. So it's kind of crazy to see the difference.
Yes. So I want to ask, have you always known you wanted to be a theater performer? And when was the moment you realized?
Ooh, yes and no. I've always sang, I've always was in dance classes, and as people say, I've always been dramatic. Um, so yes, I've always wanted to perform, and I think being an angsty teenager, there was a time where I didn't. When you're a teenager, you don't want to do anything except
Right.
be a teenager. But I still did musicals in high school, so it has always been my um escape. I've always watched musicals, always listened to musicals. I love music in general and dance in general. So that has always been a part of my life. But I didn't even know you could go to college for it until junior year of high school, when someone came from the school that I actually went to, Manhattan School of Music, to my school and talked about, BFA programs, BM programs. I had no idea you could go to school for musical theater. There wasn't a past kind of high school view maybe in my brain. So after that, I was like, okay, I guess I'll try the whole college audition thing.
Yes. And from what I've heard, college auditions are just like are basically a job of its own to do.
Yeah, it,
It
it, it is a job, and I'm sure it has gotten even more advanced. But yeah, you are interviewing, and there's multiple interviews. It's honestly like the audition process with auditioning and callbacks and stuff like that. Like most of the schools ask for pre-screens, so you have to audition to even audition. And yeah, it's a lot, and it can be stressful for a lot of people. I only really auditioned for New York schools because I knew I just wanted to move back to New York. I was in LA, so I knew I was like, I need to be back in New York City. So I kind of made it a little bit easier for myself, but some people audition like 20 plus schools, and that is so strenuous for a little 17-year-old to be doing.
Yeah, because I feel like we're all like society's like, okay, you're 18 now, you're an adult, but you're still a kid when you're 17, 18.
Yeah, there's no way for, okay, it's your birthday, bye. That's not realistic. And yeah, it's not realistic. We have our parents forever. So yeah,
It's kind of scary and daunting as a kid to be like, oh, do I like I have to go off to college and live alone next
yeah,
year? Like
yeah, yeah,
wild.
definitely.
What was the first theater show that you were ever in?
It was Annie. I feel like that's everyone's first show. I love Annie. Oh my God, if I could do Annie again in my lifetime, a million times, I would. I literally would. I was, I want to say, I think it was sixth grade. I was in sixth grade in middle school, and I was NYC's star to be. $3, two bags, one me. And that is my dream role to this day. Like, put it back on Broadway. Any professional theater, please let me be in it. I love Annie, and that was such a perfect first show for me because I grew up on movie musicals. You know, me and my grandma, when I was over at my grandma's house, she would play so many musicals, including Annie Get Your Gun, Annie, Sound of Music, all those. And my mom also loves them and played them for me in my little like, do you remember those portable DVD players?
Yes.
Yes, I
Oh my God.
had all of them, so that was the perfect show for me because I was obsessed with the movie, and I felt like a movie star, but also a theater star at the same time. It was great.
Well, I feel like the cool thing with Annie is that like when you're introduced to it as a kid, it's like, oh, so this is possible for kids too.
Yeah, it kind of starts the dream early, and which that yeah, that's a perfect way to describe Annie.
Yes. Which Annie is your favorite?
The first movie, Bernadette Peters, Carol Burnett, like Tim Curry, all of it.
Oh
Just
my
perfection. I do like the Audra and Kathy Bates one. I mean, come on, the cast is stacked, but the first one and Anne Ranking in the first one, oh, it's just
oh my gosh.
perfect. It is perfect.
The choreography too, like hello.
For Easy Street,
The kids during Hard Knock Life, like
it's so good.
mind blown. I
It's so
was
good.
like, how do I do this?
Yes, yes.
And I'm sure my parents were like watching with me to make sure that I wasn't tumbling in the living room
Right,
during
right.
like let me make sure she's not copying the choreography and getting hurt in the living room while she's watching this.
Yes.
So, did you grow up in LA? Or when did you come? Yeah, what was that?
Both.
Okay.
So I was born in New York, Bronx, New York, and I was there until 7 or 8 maybe.
Okay.
Moved to Charlotte. My mom went to law school for 2 years, then moved to LA. So I was in LA for about 7 years, seven,
Oh,
8 years. So I was there for a long time. So, but when I was in LA, I definitely took a lot of trips to New York for all of summer, all of winter break, because the
Yes.
culture shock was hard for me. You know, all my family, we're New Yorkers through and through. So the culture shock of LA, and the cars and and then all of that, I was like, any break I could get New York City.
It's the
And
card for me.
the cars. And definitely when the pandemic hit, because I was the class of 2020 for high school senior year. So the second the pandemic hit, I begged my mom, get me a ticket, New York City,
Oh
please. This is my
my
chance.
gosh.
And then I moved back here.
Oh my gosh. I am so sorry, first of all, that you had to be in that class.
You know, to be honest, I think it's right on brand for me.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but thank you.
Like I feel like I owe everyone in in that class, whether high school or college, an apology because that's just like such an awful way to end your school. Like
Yeah.
that, like any year of school, honestly, is just like, oh, we're done. Okay.
You know, I like those kind of goodbyes sometimes. It makes it easier.
Yeah,
It makes it easier.
you you are not wrong.
It makes it easier.
So before I get into like Manhattan School of Music, I want to ask, did you find ways in LA to get involved with theater and how?
Yeah, through school. I went to performing arts middle school and performing arts high school. So that was where I got my theater. That's where I learned about more shows and learned about theater personalities as well. And that's where I kind of became, the theater kid
Yeah.
in school, because theater isn't a huge thing in LA, but I will say the schools are huge about theater, and the awards shows that the theater community has in high school and middle school is crazy, and you take it so seriously as like a little 15-year-old and it makes you feel something, which I do love about that part. But yeah, I just in school, definitely in school.
Yes. You have such like the perfect, I was saying it in the email when setting this up, you have such like a perfect personality for theater too. Because so bubbly. And you see that
Oh
like
my God, I've never been called bubbly in my entire life.
you see that on stage though. I feel like the
Oh,
moment
okay.
you came on stage when I
Thank
saw you
you.
in the show, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It makes me laugh because, people that know me, bubbly is far from what they call me. So that makes me happy that my Rose is bubbly and complete opposite for me.
Completely, literally completely.
Thank
Like,
you. I
so
appreciate it.
it was very good, and I'm getting into that
Yeah, yeah.
in after a few more questions. But I want to ask, so what made you land on Manhattan School of Music to study, and what was your most valuable takeaway from going there?
Ooh, what made me laugh? Well, I told you I mainly only auditioned for New York City schools, so short list of schools, and Manhattan School of Music was definitely my top school. I did really want to go to Pace University just because all those kids were cool to me at 17 years old, but Manhattan School of Music was also like definitely one of my top schools. And I also had a friend in high school who did their pre-college program, their summer program that they had. And she was telling me about it, and I just really loved it. I love that it was uptown in a quieter neighborhood. I'm not really like a downtown type of girl, and noise. Me and
Yeah.
noise don't go together. So I love the environment. And I came out here to audition from LA and really visited the school, and it gave such like a classic vibe. It's the original Juilliard building, Manhattan School of
Oh,
Music.
wait.
So, and as someone who I also really love jazz music, and to know that like Miles Davis went there, and so many cool cats went there, I'm like, oh, I I'm so big on energy and so big on just feelings, and I felt good in that environment. And, just walking through the beautiful staircases and the chandeliers and these beautiful mirrors all over the place and stuff like that always makes me happy, like little things like that. And and then when I did the audition and met the people who ran the program, my who turned out to be my voice teacher, Samuel Mckelton, he was on the audition panel and he was so welcoming towards me, and I got such a good energy from him. And after my audition, he came up to me after and was like, really great job. Like, we want you in this school. And it was so forward, and I love forward and honesty, and he was such good energy, and that's kind of when I knew, okay, I'm gonna go to the school. I'm definitely gonna go to the school. Did I stay at the school? No, but that's a different story.
Listen, it's the people and the influence, and
Yeah,
you grow, and it's a it comes with being young too. Like
yeah,
when you first go to college, you're like, okay, so I have to do this for the next 4 years of my life and stick with
yeah.
this. And you can change your mind,
Right. Definitely,
which
definitely.
which I think is important for young kids to hear, because it's not like a no one has their set journey and set path.
Life is not linear. It never will be.
Yeah, can't compare to anyone else's journey
No, not
at
at
all.
all. Not at all.
I'm very curious because I loved How to Dance in Ohio, and it was such an important show for me to see, and it was just such an important show in general to have on Broadway. I think
Yeah,
it should have lasted a lot longer.
yeah,
And I hope that it tours so that people get to see it around the country.
yeah.
But how did you initially get involved with How to Dance in Ohio?
So I, as as a theater kid in college, I followed a lot of casting Instagrams. I just wanted to be in the know of what's happening in the industry. And I saw a post that Whitley Theatrical posted on their Instagram, and it was basically a breakdown of the characters and saying it was going to be a swing. I barely knew what a swing was. And said email, and the post said email this email with a reel. So I quickly made a reel. I didn't even have one of like just class videos and some random cabaret performances that I did, put it together and sent it to the email. And I didn't think
And
anything of it, of course. And mind you, I think this was the summer before going into senior year. So I definitely didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go into senior year. Send in the email, and then maybe 2 weeks later, I get a self-tape request with the material from the show. And I go, because this is my first
oh,
Broadway kind of encounter, Broadway audition. And so I was like, oh, I got a Broadway callback. What? And and yeah, I mean, I could go into the whole story of that, but yeah.
oh my God. And it's when you don't think anything of it normally that like stuff like that happens and you're like, wait, okay, I was just doing that because who knows? And the worst they can say is no.
Right. And at least I still have another year of school. That
Yeah.
was in my brain. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, what was the whole audition process like, and what was your reaction when you learned that you booked the show?
Yeah. So I sent in that self-tape of the material. I think I sang Reincarnation for the self-tape, which I love that song. And it was kind of different. The bridge was different of the song, and oh yeah. So I sent that in. I didn't hear anything for maybe 2 weeks. I think I sent in another tape, if I'm not mistaken, because they sent, okay, we really like this tape. Please send another one. So I sent in another one, and I was getting closer, and I was just so weirded out, kind of. And then I went on a trip to Paris, and I hadn't heard anything. It had been weeks, so it wasn't even in my brain, really. I just turned in my audition for the school season. I wasn't thinking of How to Dance in Ohio. And then randomly, when me and my boyfriend, we got lost in Paris, we wound up somewhere outside of Paris called Rungus. It was like this industrial place. It looked like Brooklyn. So I was
Oh,
like, we're lost. And
you're like, we're back in New York.
are we back in New York? Yeah. And so we had to call a car back to our Airbnb. And while we were in the car and I was scrolling on my phone, I got an email and it said Whitley Theatrical, Micah, who is now my friend, she's one of the casting people, Whitley, final callback, how did it in Ohio? And I was like, and
Fine.
I freaked out. I'm literally about to cry now. I freaked out. I was just so surprised. I can remember that feeling of surprise because just seeing the word Broadway in
Right.
general was such a
Oh,
fulfillment in my heart. And so validating for me. Um, and so I freaked out. I called my mom and we're like, "Ah," and my mom's like, I know. Like, okay. And um, and then the final callback was a couple days after we came back from Paris. So I like prepared all the materials because remember it's for a swing. So I was preparing a whole bunch of material. And I remember getting off the plane from Paris and getting the callback list from my school and like only getting one callback for all 5 of the shows. And I was like, well, I better book how to dance
yeah.
because
Broadway.
and so I had the final callback for How to Dance in Ohio in a few days after I landed from Paris. And I remember walking into the room and, final callbacks are like, it looks like 100 people, but it's really like 10 to 15 people. It's just producers, writers, directors, and casting and the pianists. And so it's a big, long tables of people. And I remember walking in and they were so welcoming. It was not, this was my first of everything. So it's not what I expected Broadway to be. And in ways, How to Dance in Ohio really opened doors and kind of changed the temperature on how Broadway should be in general. So these people were just genuinely kind and really welcoming and gave really good notes. And I tried to take those notes as good as I could. And I remember, crying after and I kind of did a little audio message in my phone as like a little journal entry and saying I just had my first final callback and trying to be really reflective because I
Yeah.
wanted to remember the moment in any way that I could. And it was so special, and for it to be something that I related to. And that summer was the first time, first of all, a psychiatrist told me, oh, you have autism. Like, and I'm like, wait, oh, is that what it is? And for like the same summer for me to be cast in an autistic music, it's like, wait, oh, that makes sense. And like, okay, so after the final callback, I have a meeting with my dean and I'm like, I might be cast in this show. I don't know. And she said, it's okay, take a leave of absence. You're gonna be cast, but we'll find out. She said, don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Just go on. And then the day after that, I believe, I took a nap and I randomly woke up and got a call. And Micah, who's the casting director for Whitley, called and said, congratulations. And I said, oh my God. I just will never forget. And I remember calling my FaceTime my mom, and she was just crying. And
So proud.
yeah, it made me so happy to make her so proud, and because it's Broadway.
I mean,
It's
she
literally
probably
Broadway.
she probably had no doubt in her mind that you were gonna get it though.
She's definitely like that too. Like, I know, like that's definitely her. So, but it such the feeling. And then I called my dean. I was like, I gotta drop out, and that was the whole beginning.
She's like, told ya. The
Yeah,
teacher told ya.
yeah. She was already ready. She was
Oh,
already ready.
hey, love that. It's the people around you when you're like kind of like, am I gonna get it? Who are like, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like have that confidence.
Yeah.
So, how many roles did you cover in the show while swinging for the show, and what was your process for learning them?
I covered 5 roles, and I know this was
Oh,
my first time swinging. Oh my God, and for it to be Broadway, I if you're gonna learn, just that is the way to learn. I covered 5 roles, and I really had to just learn by doing and learn what processes worked for me. And I don't even know if some of those processes worked. It's just what I did in the moment. I had lots of flashcards, and being a swing is attentively listening. Like you have to listen so much because no one is directly talking to you. So you have to have such utter like hyper focus. So I tried to hyper focus so much in rehearsal room and just write down so many notes and so many things and so many pens and highlighters, and it is a ongoing process really, that never stops. And whoo, to be a swing is to be a master, like at an art. And I wish schools like taught more of that. That
like,
because I mean, a lot of us start our careers as swings and understudies, and they're the foundation of this art form. They're what makes it go on and on and on. So yeah, it was crazy.
I think if there was any silver lining from 2020 happening, is I think after theater started coming back, people started respecting and like acknowledging what swings and understudies and standbys do a lot more.
Yeah, I
And
agree. I agree.
there's so much more appreciation nowadays for it.
I agree. Yeah.
Like people, I don't know if this happened for How to Dance in Ohio, it probably did, but people like come multiple times to see multiple people in the show as different characters.
That was really sweet. I got to meet really sweet people who, were so excited to see me. And I was like, me? I'm not even on the side of the theater. But me, yeah, it has been really special connecting with people
I
because
mean,
of that.
especially for the autistic community because it's their first time. It was their first time seeing a cast full of people who represented them,
Yep.
and to like no one who was autistic is exactly alike. So
Not at all. Yeah.
yeah, so seeing different people portray these characters and make them their own is even more special.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a moment, and I try to hold on to that moment so much now, and nothing will ever compare to that first experience.
I as I said, I really hope it tours because like it's so needed in
It
the
is. It
it's
is.
so
And I love
like
the music. I love the Waves and Wires. Let me tell
I
you,
sobbed.
Today was my song. The first song I had in Ohio, a bop. It
I
was so good. And the harmonies, so good. Thank you, Rebecca and Jacob.
oh I sobbed like the entire show. I was like, oh my God, like I this is so important. I feel very seen by all these characters.
Yeah, it's so important to feel seen. It really is.
Exactly. Yes. And
Mhm.
so I'm curious, which role was your favorite to play in the show? Or like, why did you like playing all the roles that you played in the show? What was most special for all the characters?
My most favorite to go. I went on for 3 out of 5 roles.
How?
Yeah, 3 out of 5 roles. I think my most favorite one was Jessica, because that was the first one I learned and I knew her the most, and it was comfortable for me, and the vocal was comfortable for me, and also the acting was so she's very blunt, and I relate to the bluntness a lot, and also the misunderstanding of, well, this is just the fact of the matter and some people can't understand that. I really related to her in that way. um I loved Caroline. Caroline, I would say, is like my little Rose in the way of like bubbly and
True.
cutesy, um but There's a little Jessica and Rose too, but Caroline was also a really fun role to play, and I also got to go on for Remy. Now Remy was the one that was kind of the add-on role of,
That's so,
yeah, Remy was kind of the add-on role for me, so that I was really proud of myself for going on for Remy. When I got the call to do Remy, I was not in the proper headspace for it. So when I did it, I had never felt that big of a rush of, wow, Ayanna, you effing did that. Like, you, I don't know how, but I know how, but you did that. So that one was the most, I guess gratifying is the word, definitely.
oh yeah, no, I completely get that. So it's like the most challenging, but like the most like wow, like hey,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I I actually did it. Like
Yeah.
I succeeded at that.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
L- Love that. What how do you prepare to make your Broadway debut in a show like How to Dance in Ohio, where there's like so many people coming because it's such a special show?
Yeah. I think when I was preparing, because I made my Broadway debut with Caroline, and I had almost a week notice for that, and Caroline was the second one that I knew very well, so it was just, going over all my things and also trying to relax and stay in the moment and make sure the voice was okay. The voice was fine. It was dead winter, and Lord knows voice and winter are not best friends. Um but really trying to take everything in and receiving such beautiful messages from people in your life currently and people that were in your life, and just everyone feeling happy for this chapter, and also getting to finally share the stage with the cast that I see every day, and kind of share that feeling of, wow, so this is also Broadway, because I was experiencing, backstage Broadway, and but feeling the actual stage of Broadway and seeing and feeling the reactions of the audience was so heartwarming and overwhelming in a way of connection, and it was so full, so round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I yes. And I'm also very curious because I talked to Amelia who
Yes.
yeah, and
Oh,
I when I was doing research to do that interview, I found out that who like the role of Caroline is based on.
uh-huh.
So did you get to meet her or talk to her throughout the run?
Yes, so at the opening, all of the people from the documentary came to the opening and bowed with us, and then they were at the after party, and me, Caroline, and Jessica were twerking it up. Like, it was the best experience to,
Oh my
it made
gosh.
me tear up at the opening night party. Like, wow, this
This
is
is what
because of them, and I don't even know if they know that. Like, it was just, it was so existential. It was great.
I mean, being at that opening night party probably would have given me like chills and I would have cried the whole night.
Yeah, it was definitely like stepping outside of your body a lot of the time.
Just wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, before I get to Cursed Child, I'm gonna ask, what do you wish more people knew about autism?
I wish they understood that it was a spectrum.
Key.
All generations. I wish that, I because I feel like with older generations, if you're not someone with higher support needs, you're not deemed worthy enough with the autism crown, or, and I kind of feel like it's the same way with younger generations too. Just I wish people knew it was more of a spectrum and had more of an understanding of what autism is, and also how normal it is. Like it's actually kind of normal to have lots of social anxiety and to have sensory issues. When things are loud, it's loud, like it's kind of pretty simple. So more of an understanding, definitely.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I stayed at my the hotel I stayed at in New York gives like when you're on the top floors, gives like earbuds out so you don't
Oh,
get the club above. And those have been in my purse for like 2 years now, just to put them
wow.
in a loud place because who knows if it's loud and there's flashing lights, like that's gonna stress me out.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
Me
and
too. And people.
I mean, yes, that as well. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's why theater is like kind of a safe place because you know who's around you
Yes.
at a
Yes.
theater.
Definitely. Safe place. Definitely.
Yeah, and then when you're out and about, you're like, oh well, do these people like theater? Am I supposed to
Right.
know? Right,
Do y'all like theater or not?
like can I group conversation?
But
I can
also don't talk to me.
right. Need to know, but
Yes,
don't
just
talk.
need to know.
So I want to get into Cursed Child.
Yes.
So first of all, were you a Harry Potter fan growing up? Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes.
What?
I watched all the movies,
Yes.
like, but only when they would come on ABC Family. ABC Family, that old channel that used to have like the weekend marathons of all the movies. So
Yes.
I feel like I've seen the first one 100 times and the seventh one twice. Because they would like replay and that's why I'm such like the first three movies are my favorite because it's still kind of cutesy and wizardy and all of that.
Right.
Yeah, but I've
Well,
never read the books. I've never read the books.
oh, one day, but I don't know if you have time right now to
No,
do.
no, maybe after.
it.
Maybe after I will.
Yeah, I don't think you have time to read like I don't know how many pages are combined are in the book, but I mean, yeah, after the
Yeah,
movies, the movies are like,
top
but
tier.
oh my gosh, ABC Family, like when you said that, I was like, well, she knows.
I know. I know.
I'm an ABC Family girl, so.
Me too.
So what was your audition process like for Cursed Child, and what was it like knowing that you were going in and auditioning to be Hermione and Ron's daughter? Because that would just like I'd be in shock.
Well, I'm such a Hermione fan. So anytime I would tell anybody, I'm Hermione's daughter and also Ron, but mainly Hermione's daughter.
Yes.
But the audition process was okay. So I got a self-tape request sent by my agent to for Rose, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this.
Yeah.
I didn't once again didn't expect anything from it. I also didn't know it was still running because as a New Yorker, you don't see
Yeah.
like those long running shows because you're like, oh, they'll always be here.
Like
So I'd never
weekend.
seen it. So I do one of the scenes from the show, and then maybe 2 weeks later, I get an email saying I got a call back for one of the movement calls, and I had no idea what that entailed because I had never seen the show. And it's like bring fitness clothes and sneakers. So I show up to this movement call, and it is like full like hit training and it running and Simon Says type of games. And the whole time thinking, what is
Wild.
this? What is happening? And but I also remember giggling so much because it was kind of a release because we were also working out, and it was kind of a moment to just be
Free.
utterly free and childlike. Now I understand that it's childlike because I'm playing an 11-year-old, and also how physical the show is. So I just remember being like, whoa, what is this? And so jittery. And then I did a scene in front of Connor, the associate director, and casting and all of that. And he gave great notes. I did those. And then um after that, I got another request for another movement call. And this time I was like, I know what this is. And the second one came even harder. It was even more cardio. And I was like, oh Lordy, cardio. And and after that, I didn't hear anything. So I completely took it out of my brain, just went about, this is over the summer. So just went about my summer and did other things. And then about a month later, I got a random email saying, hi, we would love to see her as Rose. Could she come in? I was like, what?
Yeah.
Rose, who? This was a month ago. And then I had that final callback with the full team. John Tiffany, who's the director of all the Harry Potter Cursed Childs all over the world, was in the room, and it
Iconic.
was I love British people. I just relate to them in the bluntness and just the way that they talk. So it was just like I had so much fun in the room, just chit-chatting with them and just kind of being myself with them, and lots of laughs, and I felt good about it. And in the back of my mind, I was like, mm,
This
okay.
feels right.
Um, and then I got a call maybe a few days after or the week after, I don't remember. And I got that call, and my agent said, congratulations, you got Rose. And I was like, oh my goodness, what? Another what? And I said, okay. And then that night they got me a ticket to see it because I had said I had never seen it. What is it? I need to see it.
You're
So
like, I've done the dance, the movement stuff, but I've never,
yeah,
I don't know what
like,
I'm doing.
what am I gonna do? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would be insufferable, by the way. I don't know how you I mean, maybe you were like not shutting up about it, but like I would be insufferable and keep telling people I was Emma Watson's daughter on the street. So like I hope you did
I'm her
that.
daughter.
If not, if not, you should definitely start doing that on the street.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
yeah. Emma and Rupert's daughter. Just be like,
Yes,
I am.
yes.
Come see me at the Lyric Theater.
I'm seeing me.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's just the coolest thing. Also the movement stuff is so cool. Like when you think of a play, I feel like you just like think of people walking on stage, all acting, no choreography. So I can imagine going in to the auditions and being like, now wait, I thought this was a play. Like, how does this come in? The movement.
Like that, those are my exact thoughts coming from musical theater background. And they're telling me to put on sneakers and some fitness clothes, and then going in and it being kind of interpretive dance in a sense. I was confused but also so intrigued by it. And when I first saw it, the first thing, because I love special effects and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but the first thing that I brought home in my brain was the movement. It is beautiful. Stephen Hoggett does the movement. And just the way it is so pedestrian but so fluid.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it really sets you in each scene. And then even the cape swishes are so specific, and they are specific about it.
Those, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, those, the cape, everything involving the capes. I was like, wait, how are we doing this?
how creative. I wouldn't think of that.
Oh my gosh. And there's like, okay, so this was a bit later on on my list of questions, but I was mind blown by the live magic happening on stage, especially the beginning moment with the capes. And I know you can't say how any of it happens because it's magic. Come on.
Magic, it
But,
is.
but what is your favorite bit of magic that happens on stage?
Ooh, I really a moment that I watch every night that I really love is when Harry uses the telephone booth.
Oh my gosh.
I love that moment. I watch it every single night. It's crazy. It is magic. Like even from when I'm looking at it, it's magic. It's crazy. I love that moment.
You're
It
like, I'm gonna figure out how they make this happen.
yes, yes, and I want to do it. I want to do
Yes.
it.
Well, hey, so you're a wizard.
I
So
am.
I mean, you can do it.
I just haven't learned. I got to go through all my classes first.
Right, right. It takes time. You have to day by day, day by
I'm
day.
not as goated as Harry Potter. Not yet.
Hey, one
One
day,
day.
go Hermione's daughter.
Yeah.
Listen, so well, you were also part of a new cast that debuted a new version of the show. Did you know that going in to audition that you all were debuting a new show? And what was the rehearsal process like?
Yeah, so my agent told me it's gonna be a different version. It's gonna be cut down 30 minutes from the 3 hours and 30-minute version that it was. It's been cut down fully, and it's gonna be a little bit different, but still the same. And I knew that they were replacing a lot of the cast, and I think that part is what made me a little bit more comfortable coming because I had never replaced before. So it was comforting knowing that, I think it was 24, 26 to 24 people, new people coming into the cast. I knew that it would be special and new for a big group of people. And, if it was just me and two other people, I'd feel really nervous in the sense of, well, I'm really excited. And everyone else is like, oh,
We
yeah.
were doing this.
Yeah. So it was so comforting knowing that big group was coming in with me, and the rehearsal process was nothing like I've ever done. And it was almost 2 months, which is not really something that happens on Broadway. Usually you get like 4 or 6 weeks. And
Gosh.
our I don't know if you know, our show has a warm up every day. That's a West End practice that they brought over here with Cursed Child, where you do a warm up every day. So that was my first time. Every day for the show as well, we do that. But for the warm up
Gosh.
process, it's a little bit more extensive. So it was kind of like boot camp. Chelsea, who's the associate director, who I love, she was like, "Yeah, you guys need to be prepared because this is an epic show and we have to be epic with it." And there's a certain expectation of buoyancy. She always talks about buoyancy. So we really learned how to find that buoyancy in the rehearsal process with words and speed, and specifically with movement. We would have like 30-minute, 40-minute warm-ups of sometimes hit training and work through it.
This is intense. This is like you're filming a movie too.
Right, right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Training for the Wizarding World.
Listen, you're ready for the Max series.
Ready? Hit me up.
Come on.
Hit me up,
Phone call.
HBO.
Yes. I'm like in my living room rewatching the movies, and I'm like, I know all the Hermione lines. Why am I not being called in for an 11-year-old?
Where is my right? Why can I be calling for 11-year-old?
Like, come
Right.
on. I'm just expecting like Max to be like, we see you in your living room.
Please don't.
Right. So the thing that really sticks out to me about the new cast in this show is that the chemistry you all have on stage is like it feels like you all have known each other your entire lives,
Aw.
which I know is likely not the case with most of you. But it
Yeah.
feels like you all are like a group of friends who have known each other your entire lives and like really get along and are like comfortable making jokes and like picking on each other on stage. And that you're having like the best time of your life. Do you do you think coming in with those people really like helped the comfort behind the scenes?
Definitely. And I'm so glad that reads on the stage. I think since this is such a, like I said, an epic show, and we were kind of put through boot camp, and we're kind of at the Lyric Theater all the time with the warm up being an hour and a half before call to, we're there all the time. So I think we have become so connected without even noticing it, and we're so free with each other without even noticing. And even with the cast members that have been there, they're also so open because they brought, I mean, we walked into an energy that is like, if we're gonna be here, we're gonna be here together, and we're going to have so much fun doing this fun show and make the most out of it. And I'm so glad that that reads, and yeah, I'm really happy that reads.
And it holds your attention the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, even, and I know they cut it down, but I'm sure the longer version did too. I'm sure they cut it down because we're in the TikTok generation, and we're like, we can only watch 30 seconds of content at a time.
Wow, crazy.
Like, I mean, I think I love TikTok, but like TikTok generation has kind of shortened our attention spans a little bit.
Definitely, definitely.
But it's like everything comes through on stage, and I'm so impressed that they have managed to cut it down from a two-part show to
Right.
less than 3 hours without losing story within. Like that's amazing.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
I want to ask about, so I was mentioning your Rose is super bubbly. So I
Mhm.
want to ask about like your character choices, because I feel like your character choices kind of resemble characteristics of Hermione and Ron perfectly. What characteristics of Hermione do you think you chose, and what characteristics of Ron do you think you chose to display on stage?
Well, Hermione has always been my favorite. So I feel like in my own personality, I'm kind of Hermione in the sense of I feel like she's that go-getter type of person, and if you're not with her, well, you better get on the program or bye-bye. Like she has that mentality that I've always admired about her, and just even in the sense of like posture, like I love taking that posture that Hermione had as Rose and just really using it, and the way she like moves her head and it's so jittery and but so specific. Like I love specificity like that so much. And Ron, I feel like is definitely my sillier side, and when Rose is silly with her fellow classmates, and some of those moments you probably can't see, but definitely I took that from Ron.
Well, I was paying attention. No, I was like, if she's silly. Like,
You have to be.
you are doing a great job. And also, I didn't even like, I don't know if I paid attention as much to like the movements, but I now am like realizing what you're talking about movement wise with
Mhm.
Hermione, and like,
Yeah.
and you absolutely did a phenomenal job with that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean,
Especially the first three movies. Like, she's like very,
very posh
yeah,
and but still childlike. It's I mean, I relate because as a child I was very much, too grown for my age and trying to be adult. So it's very familiar in my
yeah.
body.
If you haven't seen the rehearsal videos from the first movie of,
Oh, I have.
oh, from of Emma Watson just like reciting the line, every
Yes.
line. Oh my God.
And that's what I feel, and like those when we're on the train with Scorpius and Albus, I feel like Hermione, like when they're reading the books and she's like mouthing their lines. That's exactly what I feel like and what I try to channel.
Oh my God. It kills me every time I see it. I see it like every week on my timeline, and I will stop and watch it every week.
Every time. Every time.
I'm like, this is the cutest thing, and this is so Hermione coded of her.
It is. It really is.
She probably didn't even realize she was doing it either. So,
No, not at all.
how would you convince people to come see Cursed Child on Broadway? And like people who saw the two-part version, people who saw the version that was more than 3 hours, how would you convince them to come back and see this new version?
How would I convince people to come back? I'd say Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is so special in the way of it's different every night because it's magic. It is different every night, and with such a long material, we as actors get to find little new things to love about our characters and to love about the story. I mean, the story is quite literally about handling life as, I mean, they're wizards, but handling life as a muggle, as a wizard, and learning how to make connection and understand. Life is about understanding one another, like we were saying about, with autism, like learning how to understand everyone's normalcy. And I feel like Cursed Child does that in a perfect way. Albus learns, his whole journey is, learning about love with Scorpius, but also learning about love and understanding his father, his Harry Potter, and understanding what Harry Potter had to go through as a child and those demons that he had never tackled, and he didn't even notice he was bringing them on to his own son. So it is so relatable when you don't even think of when you don't even notice that it's so relatable to muggles even.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not a muggle, but like, no,
No, you're not.
obviously.
Neither am I.
Which speaking of which, what is your house?
I'm a Gryffindor.
Okay, I was gonna guess you were an actual Gryffindor, but I still had to ask because was unsure, and you can never assume.
I'm a Leo, so lion. Gryffindor.
Okay, hey, that fits really well. I wonder if that tracks with like all people who are Leo.
Oh, I wonder if
That'd be
astrology matches it. I'm
that's
sure somebody's written about it.
interesting. I'm a Pisces, and I think that tracks with Hufflepuff.
Really? I mean, that makes so much sense.
I feel like it does.
The sweetness.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
I mean, I feel like classic Pisces. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. My sister also got Hufflepuff though, and I think she's a Ravenclaw because she's in law school.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's the logic and the wisdom of it all.
So who knows? Who knows?
Who
But
knows?
I'm definitely up, and I can see the Gryffindor aspect. Yes. Hermione's house.
Hermione's house.
So what is your dream role to play on stage?
Ooh, every time when someone asks me this, I forget. But when I'm alone, I remember.
Oh,
Oh, I have a few that I would have to be older for, like older for.
hey, and you're so young.
So I have like 30 years. But obviously I've always wanted to play Mama Rose or, Dolly and Hello Dolly and those classic roles. I love classic musical theater, golden age musical theater. I love it. 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 But also Sally Bowles. I don't need to be older for that. Sally Bowles.
No.
I love cabaret. That kind of music is my niche of music. Candor and Ebb is the duo of a mezzo soprano.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but also like Merrily We Roll Along is a dream show of mine. Sunday in the Park with George, those shows as well. Just love, 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 love.
I could see like Eurydice too going on.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a phenomenal role.
And like speaking of Gypsy, I could see like June.
I would die to be June.
Oh, listen, I think I could definitely see that
Well, thank you for putting that out there.
manifesting
Thank
this.
you for your manifestation
When
project.
it happens, I'll come back to this and I'll be like, "Hey, we did it."
It's because you're a wizard.
I'm confident that it will happen.
Thank you. I
But
appreciate it.
who is someone you look up to in the theater industry?
Ooh, I, well, I'm such a Barbara Streisand fan. Barbara Streisand is just goddess to me. I read her memoir and just kind of romanticized that for about a year. Um, I look up to Audra McDonald, her poise and the way that she is vibrantly talented, but also so put together and just woman. Like she just is woman. Like when you think of woman, you think of Audra McDonald in my head.
Queen.
Yes, yes.
I saw Gypsy on my trip to New York last week, and I was dying as a 1999 Annie fan.
Yeah, I saw it 2 weeks ago and I just kept on saying to people, I have never seen acting like that. Just she just channeled something.
Agreed, and I was in the very back, like second to last row, so I couldn't see facial expressions at all.
No,
but
no.
but I could feel it. So like I think that speaks for itself, you know?
Yeah,
You can
she
feel
just has a
it.
boom of energy that you
It-
can't
oh my god.
deny.
It's insane, insane, like
Mhm.
legend. So before I get to my last questions, I want to ask where can people follow you on social media to keep up with what you're doing, to keep up with all the magic in your life?
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm really just on Instagram. It's Ayanna Nicole Thomas with two S's at the end, my full name. I'm starting a YouTube channel today. That's Ayanna Nicole Official.
I'll
And then my
subscribe.
website's just my full name.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna subscribe to your YouTube channel right after this when you make it.
Yes,
Have you made it yet?
yes. Huh?
Have you made it yet?
My video is uploading. 16 minutes left.
Hey, love it, love it. So okay, I'll subscribe and I'll put all the links in the description and lower third.
Yes, thank you.
Of course, of course. And my last two questions I want to get to is one, how do you work on self-confidence in this industry?
Mm. That is a good question.
You're like,
That is a great question, and that will always be, I think everyone should work on that their whole life and not kind of determine it on the industry that they are in. It should be a personal thing first. And I think that's what gives you the confidence to keep on going in this industry. I very gratefully have been given this strong personality, so it's been hard to deny myself. So I just can't deny who I am, and I think that helps me
love
with
that.
my confidence in situations and in rooms. I'm like, well, this is me, and this is who I'm going to be in the rehearsal room too. So I think it has to be a journey of knowing who you are and working on the things that you deem aren't helping you grow in life. And then when that shows, other people will see it too. Yeah.
When you were saying that, I was like, I wish as a kid, when I was growing up in high school, that I had someone like you to like look up
Oh,
to
don't
because
make me cry.
I'm sorry, it's making me cry too. Because
Oh,
like I feel like as an autistic kid growing up, you're told you're
yeah.
autistic, and then you're like, okay, well, I feel different, and I feel
Yeah.
like I can't outwardly be myself.
Yeah.
So important to see other people being themselves.
Yeah. And I as a person who school was not made for me and growing up school is your life for 12 years and also college, 4 years of that. And so just feeling so different and so ostracized in the smallest ways. I really got down on myself in those times. And then once I realized, well, I am Ayanna and I'm just going to have to be Ayanna. Like, and if you don't like it, I'm just gonna sit here and laugh at you because you're laughing at me, it's an ongoing journey, but I have found more confidence in myself being outside of school and learning that it is okay to actually be loud sometimes or be completely quiet sometimes and fidget or pace around the room when just the little isms. So
Yes, it's okay. Just like period. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So my last question is, do you have anything in the works you'd like to promote? I saw and you mentioned earlier that you do jazz stuff, and I saw you
Yeah.
do some jazz concerts sometimes. So do you have any of those coming up? Where do you perform when you do jazz concerts?
Yeah, I don't have any coming up. I That is my goal. I had to kind of take a hiatus because of, the show and really wanting to give my all in the show, but now I feel a little bit more grounded in the show. And I also write music, so I want to get that out there and talk to my boys, and get that out there and start performing because I also think it's really important to hold on to the loves of your life while you're also working on Broadway. Because
Oh,
you need a medium, and that is my medium. So 2025, I am going to start gigging again and
yes.
recording.
Okay. Come to the West Coast too. I love jazz stuff.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, come to LA and I'll come support because
Okay.
jazz makes me so happy.
It makes it's all the only thing I listen to. The
I'm
only
It's not the only thing I listen to, but oh my gosh, like it's so underrated.
It really
Like in
is.
this day and age, we underappreciate it. And it's just like it's great. It's You feel like you've escaped to another planet when you're listening to jazz.
Yes, quite literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to have had you on and to talk with you. And this was such a fun conversation.
This was amazing. Thank you. This was perfect. Thank you, Becca.
Oh my gosh, of course, of course. And I can't wait to tell everyone to go see you in Curse a Child
Yes.
because I want to come back. If New York wasn't so dang expensive to get to, I'd be back like next week.
So
But
expensive.
when I get back to New York, I'll probably return. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!